We are grateful you could join us here on NewsPrime. Now, former President John Mahama's comment that President Akufo-Addo has packed the judiciary with MPP-aligned judges dominated the opening ceremony of the 2023 Ghana Bar Conference with speakers after Speaker criticizing the comment of the former president. John Mahama at the NDC's Lawyers Conference vowed that a future NDC government will appoint NDC lawyers to become judges to balance what he called a deliberate attempt by President Akufo-Addo to tilt the judiciary in favor of the NPP. We'll hear from speakers at the Ghana Bar Conference shortly, but first, listen to comment by John Mahama.
Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges because this government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench. It's more than 80 towards 100 and counting. He's packed the courts, and we know that they've packed the courts because they want to avoid accountability after they have left office. And so all manner of people who are known to have been partisan, to have been executives of their party, who are in the legal profession, are being leapfrogged into the superior courts and other places. We must be prepared as NDC legal persons to also go onto the bench so that we can balance out, the judiciary. And so I encourage some of you to look at careers on the bench so that we can balance out what's the current situation.
President Akufo-Addo led the onslaught on former President John Mahama, describing his comments as irresponsible and dangerous.
Who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, MPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they are also extremely dangerous and represent the most brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason, if more were needed, why right-thinking citizens should ensure the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official #1 in the still unresolved airport Airbus bribery scandal.
The next speaker to take on the former president was the Attorney General, Minister for Justice, Godfrey Dame-Boab. He said former President Mahama is ill-informed about the processes of appointing judges.
For one to express the desire to appoint mainly members of one's political party to the judiciary, if given the mandate to govern the nation again, clearly indicates an unfamiliarity with the process of appointment of judges. Whilst acknowledging the constitutional duty of the president to appoint all judges in the country, it is imperative to note that the president does not appoint judges to any country, to any court in a vacuum, or in absolute power in that regard. Each appointment onto the judiciary is preceded first by an indication of a vacancy by the Judicial Council. Without a vacancy, the president cannot appoint. We cannot in this regard rule out the coincidence of situations. If a vacancy arises, it falls for whichever president is in office to formally fill same by appointing after the exhaustion of all constitutionally mandated procedures. Thus, the notion that the president can just appoint any number of judges that he desires in order to neutralize, in quote, the perceived declaration of the judiciary is incorrect, grossly misleading. Further, the participation of the Judicial Council as well as the Council of State and Parliament, where necessary, in the processes of appointing a judge stipulated in Article 144 of the Constitution cannot be ignored. The President also does not have the power to empanel any court in the country.
Then came the president of the Ghana Bar Association, Yaw-Boafo Champon, who described the comment as baseless because appointment to the bench do not take into consideration the partisan affiliation of persons.
It is worrisome when members of the Ghana Bar Association itself join the chorus of ignorant partisan populists to denigrate the image of the legal profession and judiciary. Why should we allow politics to divide us? Why should we subject ourselves to the dictates and wishes of politicians and sacrifice the nobility of our profession on the altar of divisive partisan politics? Last year, we were told that unanimous judgments mean that there is no scholarship and independence of thought in judicial reasoning. And in the process, Supreme Court judges were referred to in derogatory terms as unanimous SC. We even had the immediate past Chief Justice being described as the worst Chief Justice ever, and that lawyers of a particular political tradition were discriminated against when they appeared before judges. As if that was not enough, this year, we are being told that the requirement to be appointed to the District Court bench, the Circuit Court bench, the High Court, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court is by being a member of the political party in power, and that this policy will be replicated in the event of a change in government. The natural question to be posed to our overtly partisan colleagues applauding such a statement is, in the event that they join the bench at any level during a change in government in the future, how will they feel if people tag them as having been appointed to the Superior Court bench not because of their knowledge of the law or high level of integrity, but only by reason of just being members of the ruling party? It is instructive to state that, save the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, when nominations are made by three parties, the government represented by the Attorney General, the Judiciary and the Bar, appointments to the lower court bench and the High Court is pursuant to advertisements in dailies inviting persons qualified to apply. There is never a requirement that an applicant has to show his political affiliation. As a member of the Appointments Committee of the Judicial Council, I can say on authority that at no stage of the interview and evaluation process is the political leanings of an applicant required.
We also have on the line a member of the NDC legal team, Ni Pakpo Samwa Ado. Mr. Ado, I want to find, were you at the conference? Tell us.
I joined the conference online, so you have the option to be in there in person or to join online.
All right, so how about your other NDC members who are lawyers? Can you tell if all of them were there?
Oh, quite a number were there. One must understand that, and let me say good evening to your listeners. The Ghana Bar Association is a welfare association for and on behalf of all lawyers in Ghana. It is a completely different context from, for example, lawyers like myself who also belong to what we call the NDC Legal Forum or Lawyers Association, who as lawyers have identified ourselves with a particular political party, which is allowed under our constitution, the freedom of association. The problem that arises, okay, is the fact that you will hear the same bar president crying that we should, as lawyers, avoid allowing partisan politics to creep into our association. Because our association is meant first and foremost for the welfare of lawyers.
Okay.
It is an apolitical association. Now, when the opening ceremony of the association becomes a forum on which the sitting president decides that he is going to take aim at a former president of the country, to the current presidential candidate of the NDC, the National Democratic Congress, and will cast aspersions at him, describing him as a criminal. He made a criminal allegation against the former president on the opening ceremony of the Ghana Bar Association. He called him and repeated an allegation made by Mantinamidu. You understand?
Yeah.
And yet, this is the same Mantinamidu that calls our sitting president the mother serpent of corruption. So you see, when my dear friend, the Attorney General, also comes out to say that in the next election, he said that it is not going to be another lawyer who may be president, but it's likely to be an economist. You see, when you allow these public officials to use the platform of the Ghana Bar Association to go into partisan market, Do you understand?
All right.
What are you doing? You are contradicting the very things that you say we should not do.
Okay.
It is different if the president and the attorney general at a forum of the MPP, let's say the MPP is launching this manifesto, or the MPP is doing something that is being organized by the MPP, decides to respond to the former president. That one is an MPP platform. So you see, in one breath, you accuse NDC lawyers of creating a platform for the former president to denigrate the judiciary and other institutions. And at the same time, you create a forum to allow the current president and the attorney general to attack the leader of the opposition.
All right.
How contradictory can you be?
That point is well made. I want to find out, do you believe the attacks on the comments made by the former president actually justified these comments made by
the president in his own speech admits the fact that in other jurisdictions, the political persuasions of judges is a basis of appointment. I believe you saw that in the statement, especially when he referred to the U.S. judiciary. You understand? Some stand for elections and other things. The former president has opened a conversation. His point is this. And remember, he is entitled to his opinion. It is a constitutional right. He says that from where he sits, if he looks at the statistics, when it is the NDC, number one, the NDC government seems to be very restrained when it comes to the appointment of Superior Court judges.
Okay.
If you look at the statistics, you would clearly see that as compared to the MPP administrations, the NDC administrations tend not to appoint that much number of judges to, for example, our Supreme Court. So he calls upon NDC lawyers who maybe for some reason have not been too inclined towards looking at careers on the bench, to look at careers on the bench because there is a need, in his opinion, to balance out these appointments so as to ensure that there is balance in the numbers on the judiciary in terms of who is the appointing authority or who is the appointing government. So
you don't see anything wrong with that particular statement by the former president?
He is going to appoint NDC judges onto the bench. He is saying that as the appointing authority, NDC lawyers should look at the career on the bench. What is wrong with that?
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nick Bakpo Samoa Ado is a member of the NDC's legal team. We are so grateful for your time. Now, moving on, the minority is demanding fairness from the Ghana Police Service in its handling of their protests. They are accusing the central bank governors of mismanagement, leading to posted losses, impacting negatively on the livelihoods of Ghanaians, and are therefore using the protest to mount pressure for their resignation. However, the protest has suffered setbacks due to disputed route with the police. Minority leader Dr. Kesela Tuforson said despite these challenges, they remain resolute to ensuring the governors resign.
That we, NDC minority, we are saying the governor of the central bank has indeed broken rules and laws. We cannot also be the very ones to break the same laws. Our position is simple, and we've seen the attempt by the Ghana Police Service to scuttle our protest. But today, in spite of the back and forth, we were able to agree on a new route and a new date. So now the protest is going to happen. We don't want to give them additional opportunity for them to scuttle the protest. The protest will happen. Unfortunately, they could not determine what a security zone is. They could not also inform us the boundaries of the so-called Bank of Ghana security zone. But we have agreed on a route that we believe will serve the purpose. In the end, we expect the governor himself to meet us somewhere determined by the route and obviously to take the petition from us. In the end, I can assure you, it's not about fairness, it's about protesting and letting the people be aware that what has gone on, the management of the central bank can never be allowed to continue. And on that basis, we are calling on them to resign, and they have to go now. Protest. We are constrained by new development to now hold the demonstration against the ills of the governor of Bank of Ghana and his two deputies on Tuesday, 3rd October 2023. At today's meeting at the Greater Accra Regional Police Command, the police could not determine the boundaries of their so-called security zone of the Bank of Ghana. We consider the posture of the police as a deliberate attempt to frustrate and scatter our peaceful Occupy Bank of Ghana protest. In the interest of public safety and security, and in order not to provide an excuse for the Ghana Police Service to further check their constitutional obligation to provide protection for the upcoming peaceful protest, we have agreed on this new date, Tuesday, 3rd October 2023, with a new route. We have subsequently written to the Ghana Police Service, and they have promised to reply us today. In line with this, we will continue to intensify and deepen our community and public engagement on the Occupy Bank of Ghana protest. But I also want to use this opportunity to assure the general public that come what may, the Occupy Bank of Ghana protest will happen, and will happen on the 3rd of October 2023. Thank you.
Now, the Western Regional Security Council has launched a formal investigation into the activities of Star Adams Enterprise following a tragic quarry explosion in Kobina and Dokrom that claimed the lives of 5 individuals on Saturday. The quarry site in question was being operated by a Chinese company which had reportedly not completed the necessary processes to legally conduct quarry operations. The council, chaired by the Western Regional Minister Kobina Otredaku, tasked the investigative committee to look into the dealings of the company and unravel the cause of the explosion. There's more in the following report.
Saturday's explosion has raised serious concerns about the dealings of the mining company at the heart of the explosion. Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Martin Eisi, after inspecting the explosion site, said the enterprise was operating without documentation.
When you pick intelligence, what do? You go there and try to stop them. If you need security help, you provide them. So the person or the enterprise did not have all the necessary documentation approvals to do this kind of thing. So if this happened, it is because it is an illegal operation. But at least I take pride in the fact that the inspectors came to stop them, that they cannot do it. But at least for now, as far as our records are concerned, they are not permitted.
Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Agency, Kwabena Kukufu, also visited the site. He says many companies flout environmental laws in their operations, and the agency will soon drag these companies to court.
All these what are flouted day in and day out. Once we catch you, we have to apply maybe administrative sanctions and possibly put before the court of law.
But leading member of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Dr. Kwabena Donko, said the Minerals Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency should be held liable.
Regulatory bodies have a responsibility to enforce the law. And if you admit that they are not fully licensed, then there is a case of enforcement failure, and the regulatory bodies themselves should be held responsible.
The Western Regional Security Council has decided to set up a 9-member committee to probe the dealings of the company and bring to light the cause of the explosion. Kwabena Otredaku Mensah is chairman of the council.
We are forming a 9-member committee made up of the Western Regional Coordinating Council. We are also giving them 3 weeks to present us a full report on the causes of the explosion, and also to look out for other causes that we need to check in future. We also want to establish whether the company was up to speed with its own safety guidelines and licensing that they are supposed to go through. And we also would like to know whether the company had authorization to store those explosives.
The committee is expected to submit recommendations to prevent any such future occurrence. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Now, the Ghana Highways Authority has defended the 1 million Ghana cedis budget allocated for the demolition of portions of the ACCRA-TEMA tollbooth. Concerns have been raised by a section of the public regarding this sum. However, in response to these concerns, the director in charge of road safety at the Ghana Highways Authority, Joseph Achu-Amejaka, explains that such apprehensions are baseless. There's more in the following report.
2 contractors are expected to collaborate in demolishing 3 out of the 8 toll booths on both ends of the motorway. The first contractor, responsible for installing street lights to prepare for the main demolition, reports that he is on course to complete his portion by end of this week.
Per the scope, we are supposed to do 9 of them, which practically means 9 poles. So as you can see, we've casted the concrete plinth, which is in the process of curing. You can see ahead, we've casted all of them. In fact, we've replicated the same thing at the TEMA TOLLBOOTH side too. So they are also in the process of curing. After that, to give you a brief schedule of what the next line of action is we will put our knots on the boat, the anchor boats. We'll put the pole on it and align them to be straight. We use spirit level and other instruments to check them to be straight. Then after that, we put our solar lights on them. So tentatively by Wednesday, we'll erect the pole. Thursday, we'll put a solar light on them and do our pre-commissioning before the next day, which is will be an official inspection of it per the schedule we've drawn.
Meanwhile, motorists are expressing frustration over inadequate warning signs, which they believe are contributing to road crashes at the project site.
Last night I was from this in Kumasi. So when I reached by the reflector is too close. I and one track two went to come by. You see the tires appear in the road. So I want to defend myself and then defend the track. So my 2 rims out spoil, and then my 3 tires was blast.
In addition to the insufficient warning signs, motorists say the 1 million Ghana cedis budgeted for the demolition exercise is excessive.
Actually, taking off this 1 million Ghana cedis, wow, it's a lot to put down this. It's not supposed to take up that amount of it.
So if they have to demolish it, that's fine. They should go ahead. But the amount you mentioned earlier, it's ridiculous. I mean, for this thing, 1 million, it's ridiculous. I think it's too much. It's where they can look at other, they can outsource it to, local people to do it. Or I don't know who is coming to do it and is charging that much. So that is too much, honestly.
Responding to these concerns, Joseph Achu-Amejaka, Director of Road Safety and Environment at the Ghana Highways Authority, justified the expenditure.
Principally, the work is composed of 3 parts. We have the demolition works, we have the street light works, we have the safety works, which is the installation of safety barriers. You know, once we get this place, the structures demolished, we need to channel traffic only through the concrete pavement. So we have to barricade or put safety barriers so that no vehicle can veer off the extension that was made at the toll-booth location. So it means that we have to channel, we have to get safety barriers directly the vehicular traffic through the original motorway pavement, so that they don't veer off to other side. So the work is composed of first the street light project, then the demolition, then installation of road signs, and then installation of safety barriers. So all this is add up to the cost of all this works add up to 1 million Ghana cedis.
What do you make of the concerns being raised by experts and the public that the cost is just too much?
Maybe they are not privy to the details of the work, because it's not only at one side that we are working. We are working at both the TEMA end and then the ACCRA end. So the 2 of them, the TEMA end, the demolition at TEMA end, and then the ACCRA one, that makes up to 600,000 Ghana cedis. The others are the installation of street lights and then the installation of safety barriers and safety signs. So these are the cost breakdown.
According to officials, demolition works at the toll booth will be completed by the end of next week.
Now, some residents of TECHIMAN municipality of the Bono East region are appealing to city authorities to institute measures capable of solving the municipality's flooding challenges. The residents who were speaking to Joy News after less than 30 minutes of rainfall attribute poor drainage along the principal street of TECHIMAN as the major cause of flooding within the municipality. Anas Sabit has more in this report.
Poor drainage systems in towns and cities contribute immensely to flooding. The drains and gutters constructed in the TECHIMAN municipality are not large enough to ensure easy flow of water during rainy days, and this is one of the main causes of floods along the principal streets of the municipality. Residents are calling for the intervention of city authorities after some parts of the city was nearly flooded after less than 30 minutes of rainfall.
The
drainage constructed is too small, so the rainwater overflows onto the streets, making it difficult for us to cross. So we are appealing to authorities to help us find a lasting solution to this matter. It is always difficult for us as drivers whenever it rains. I was unable to cross this afternoon and had to use a different route around the main market. So we are all not spared, both drivers and Okada riders, because the rainwater gets into our vehicles, and that is worrying, so we are appealing for help. It's been so for the past 4 or 5 years since the construction of this road. This is even small. When it gets worse, you are even at risk of being carried away. Motorists are always at risk during rainy days, and school children find it difficult crossing the streets as a result of the situation.
Especially so talk a cars.
When it rains heavily, it drags vehicles, school children, and sometimes causes accidents. So we want the regional minister, the MC, and the member of parliament to come to our aid before something terrible happens.
Well, anymore, not to me, a man can't went to Mokra. This empire who be better my area. To Sunday and yan. Would you have any papa who has here? To Sabbath my fault, I go grammar and more not.
Though authorities have over the years taken cosmetic measures to help address the situation, these residents want a lasting solution to the current situation.
Honorable MP. And MC said, "I am saying so to a higher kakra." And you know,
to carry out a renovation work on this part of the road because it's not good for us. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, TECHIMAN.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, the AU peacekeeping mission in Somalia says insurgent and terrorist group fighting the Somali government, Al-Shabaab, has become fluid and unpredictable. Acting Force Commander of the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, Major General Marius Ngende says the group has now withdrawn from most major towns and cities to villages and small towns. His comments come at a time the AU troops are wrapping up with their operations. Now, the EU wants to gradually reduce the number of troops in the country until December 2024, when the mission ends, with the Somali government expected to take control. Civil war and activities of insurgent groups have plunged the country into more than 2 decades of instability. Now, security personnel drawn from various countries, including Ghana, are all playing a role to restore order. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba of our security desk joins me via Zoom from Somalia, where the force commander has been speaking. So, Maxwell, it has been more than 2 decades of civil and insecurity in Somalia. You arrived there today, Monday. Tell us, what have you been seeing or heard from these commanders so far?
Well, Carlos, security, I must say, is very tight here in Somalia. In fact, right from the airport, when we got out, we saw a lot of armored vehicles from different countries. I remember that different countries are contributing troops to restore calm and order. here in this East African country. So their presence is felt everywhere. Now, if you speak to some of the residents, some of the citizens, some of the people who live here, they tell you that just when they feel like a lot has been done to stem the tide of attacks that you've been experiencing, as recent as June, for instance, they had an attack here. In that attack, 9 people died at a restaurant. Now, in January 2023, just this year also, a government building was also attacked. 6 people were killed in that particular attack. So although the AU forces here are saying that, look, they've been able to push the Al-Shabaab militants into the bushes, into far areas and remote areas, sometimes they're still able to attack, in the capital. And that's a worry for some of the peacekeeping personnel who we've been interacting with. But they tell us that they've been able to eliminate majority of the threats. We've been hearing from the ATMIS commander here.
Okay, so the acting force commander for the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, he has also described the threat posed by Al-Shabaab as unpredictable and fluid, but says plans are underway to hand over security matters to the country. Tell us more.
The security situation, as you know, in generally in Somalia, because of the terrorist threat, the security situation is fluid and unpredictable. Al-Shabaab has remained the dominant enemy of Somalia and the Horn Africa region. It has now withdrawn from most of major towns and the cities to the village and small towns, even bushes or forests across ATMIS area of responsibilities. The strongholds are still in the Juba Valley, Bai, Bakur, and the Gedo regions of Somalia. Those regions are yet to be cleared of Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab has an active force estimated between 12,000 and 15,000 militants operating in the ATMIS area of responsibility. The force generation is facilitated by an aggressive recruitment campaign that is either radicalized, voluntary, or forceful. The tactical modus operandi of Al-Shabaab is still to avoid force-on-force combat with the friendly forces in favor of complex attacks, often employs of combination of various types of improvised explosive devices and ground assault forces. Small-scale raids, ambushes, and cross-cart assassination against government personnel and other individuals challenging the authority. As such, the group largely employs asymmetric warfare tactics. The group mainly operates in small units of less than 20 fighters and can increase the number to approximately 250 fighters to conduct major attacks.
Maxwell, we understand he has also been listing the achievement of the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia. What exactly did he say?
Well, he says these troops drawn from different countries have done a lot in creating some semblance of calm and stability here in this country. Indeed, there are a lot of government buildings where you go right now, you find this ATMIS personnel stationed there, protecting it and then providing some form of security. If you go through the streets, you come across a lot of impenetrable barriers on the streets manned by security personnel drawn from various countries. So in the capital, especially Mogadishu, there is that kind of peace and there's that kind of, calm here. And we understand that is also the case in other parts of the country. But just that when you go to the villages, that is when you have, the difficulties. The commander tells us that they've also been providing a very safe corridor for humanitarian and aid workers who are stationed here in this country, a lot of them, to be able to go about their normal duties and also for government business to be able to function. Carlos.
All right, thank you so much, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba reaching us from Somalia.
Agencies and the humanitarian agencies, among others. Artemis forces continue to conduct various seismic activities across sectors in support of the vulnerable population. For instance, the distribution of water and food during the dry season and the flood season, respectively. Provision of medical service to the poor, the opening of some of community roads across all sectors. This has been achieved by encroaching on limited resources for troops. Artemis has effectively provided security to the humanitarian convoys traveling to and from vulnerable places, as well as UN staff and other officials as and whenever required. For instance, between April and August, about 772 metric tons of food and other supplies have been distributed with support from Artemis to vulnerable people in the area like El Wak, Dinso, Badere, Baidoa, and others across the sectors. I wish to reiterate Artemis' resolve and saying a Somali free of Al-Shabaab. We will continue to jointly coordinate and fight alongside SSF to realize this goal of building a secure, peace and prosperous Somalia.
That's all we have time for in this hour. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.